This video is about my trip to Rantoul, Illinois for the Half Century of Progress show. I took a bunch of video clips which I'll share first, and at the end I have a bunch of pictures I took as well. Overall, it was pretty neat. So we took our John Deere Gator and my grandpa's Super A out to the show. You really can't do a show like this without a gator or some way to get around. There's just too many things to see. And there's the Super A next to a Super AV, which is a tractor I'd really like to have one day. And then here's just a plain AV. Again, I'm really into the high clearance tractors. I'd like to add one to my collection someday. Here's a Super HV, which is very uncommon. And there were many things there, pickup trucks, bulldozers, anything you can imagine was here. They were trying to have as many 1206 tractors as possible. I do believe there was I think it was close to 240 of them, which is pretty neat to see at one time. Also, there was a lot of prairie tractors and steam tractors. I just find these pretty interesting to see how things have progressed over the years, and just the amount of iron in these old tractors is pretty impressive to me. And I just like looking at them. You don't really see them around at most shows because they're very hard to move. And I tried to take some pictures just to kind of show the scale of the show and how many people were there. I mean, the golf carts were kind of ridiculous at times. You just kind of had to, do your own thing. And the main thing I wanted to see were the corn pickers and kind of the antique tractor plowing. We were just trying to find areas which there weren't too many people. And these corn pickers, they're not very common here anymore in Pennsylvania. These two tractors are pretty rare, 350 Wheatland Specials, especially the propane model. I don't think there was more than hardly 15 of those made. And some of you will know whose tractor this was. I just thought it was cool. A cool picture sitting there. I did drive my tractor in the parade. I'll include a clip of that now. So overall, this was a very neat experience. It's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime deal. I'd really like to do it again someday. It was a lot of driving. I mean, we drove, I think it was almost like 700 miles to get there and about the same back. And we came to our cabin just to kind of not have to drive so much in one day. But again, I went with my mom, and I really enjoyed the experience. I think she did too. And one day I'd probably do it again. Thanks for watching.